Hello and welcome to part 3 of our candidate Q&A session this evening. For anyone who's just joined us, welcome to Winchester Student Union's Officer Elections. My name is Tiff Burnett. I'm the Student Engagement Manager here at the Student Union. I'm also the Deputy Returning Officer for the elections this year. This is a part of a 4-part pre-recorded Q&A with your candidates. Do make sure you've just checked out our other videos. We've just heard from your presidential candidates early this evening, followed by your Vice President Education and Welfare candidates. And after this video, we will also be releasing the final part, which is your Student Officer candidates. So next up this evening, we have your Vice President Activities candidates. First up, you will hear a short speech from each candidate, followed by a question and answer session, where candidates will have the opportunity to answer a question which has been pre-submitted by our members using our Ask a Candidate online form. So before we begin the speeches, here are a list of all candidates running for Vice President Activities this year. So we have Leela Vegeta, Joshua Dodd, Bob Glass, Daniel Hepburn, Kate Mardon, Daphne Siddall, and Lee Fairwhite. We also have R.O.N running as a candidate in all of our elections, and this stands for Reopen Nominations, and that's also an option you can choose when you cast your vote. So for all of the speeches, we'll be going in alphabetical order by surname, and each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to deliver their speech. So your first candidate for Vice President Activities is Leela Vegeta.
Hi, I'm Leela. I want my work to unite all groups in the activity zone. I want to do that by prioritising representation and inclusivity and making sure all groups are integrated in decision making. It would build an equal environment for all. I want to increase the presence of all groups on digital platforms and being attentive to interact with everyone in the same way, digitally or face-to-face. This would bring visibility and recognition to each team's societies and networks to students at university. I want to work on encouraging all groups to connect with each other through members-led campaigns, charity challenges and events that would empower each and everyone. The Student Union and myself will support more members-led initiatives to work together as one unit while continuing to create and develop union-led events, campaigns that would include more groups as well. I believe this would generate a healthy and friendly environment to come back to, and incredible support for all students at university, increased members intakes and participation numbers, and I believe this would reflect the visions and values of the Student Union to be student-led, student-delivered and student-empowered. Thank you.
Your next candidate is Joshua Dodd.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, everybody. I am Joshua Dodd, and I'm running to be your Vice President of Activities this year, aiming to give the very, very best experiences and opportunities to strive for all. For our sports clubs and societies, I'm going to ensure that everything COVID took away will be back in our schedules as soon as possible, but bigger and better than ever. I'll also look into funding other smaller tournaments for you to make up for lost competition time, and in the meantime, set up some fantastic e-social events such as an e-society taskmaster for everybody to get involved in. Our recruitment will also be back on schedule with a whole week dedicated to our fantastic team societies and networks on social media and beyond. And of course, don't forget our usual Freshers' Fairs and Give It a Go week, which I'll aim to continue. I'll also continue the union's work with Winchester Hub so students can get the best out of volunteering. And this is something I know very well as it's changed my own life. And charities will be high on my agenda, giving students more opportunities than ever to work with our RAG team to fundraise in the biggest and best ways possible. University-wide initiatives will be included in this, like comic relief and children in need and those kind of national things, as well as, of course, things close to students' hearts, like indeed period poverty and ending that, Uniboob and Winchester Marrow as well. All of these will have a permanent home on the university calendar. As a student with a disability, I know just how important representation is, so I wish to work with our Vice President of Education to endorse representation of all these representational roles in SAC and beyond, indeed, because I know this can make all the difference. Simply, I just wish for every single person to make the most out of their activities experience. And if you vote for me this evening and in our voting period, of course, then I will do my very, very best to help you with that. Thank you very much and enjoy voting.
Your next candidate this evening is Bob Glass.
Hey guys, my name is Bob. I'm a current third year student studying music and sound production at university. I've also been part of the American football team for the last 3 years. I'm their current captain and I was the wellbeing officer last year. As captain, I learned a lot about leading the team, but also working with the student union to develop the connections and understand what it takes to lead groups. And as wellbeing officer, I also worked with helping people develop and care for them through both physical and mental moments they had throughout the year. I'm running for Vice President Activities for Student Union because I'm passionate and determined to look after and help everyone throughout the year. I will listen to, I will reflect upon and project every student's voice, and I will develop and enhance your student experience. I'll do this by integrating and implementing the following. Number one is my coronavirus resolution plan. So coronavirus affects us all very hard this year, and it's really a plan to help everyone get back to normality, both during and at the end of and after the pandemic. I also have a fair funding scheme in place, which will ensure that all societies, teams and networks have equitable funding, so they can positively grow both this year and in following years. My third point is students will have access to extra training and support projects so they can develop skills through the student union. And my fourth point is I have additional campaign prospects that I can add on top of our prosperous campaigns. Yeah, thanks for listening and yeah, vote.
Your next candidate is Daniel Hepburn.
Hi everyone, my name is Dan Hepburn and I'm running to be your Vice President of Activities at the Winchester Student Union. My time at university has been enhanced by getting involved and having a sense of belonging, and I want this for all other students. I pledge to focus on 4 main points to achieve this. Firstly, mental health. It should be a priority and I'll make it a priority. I want to promote it on and off campus. No student should miss out on student union events because of poor mental health. I want to work closely with the Advice Centre and Student Services to make sure the appropriate support is given. I want wellbeing reps to be a foundation part of society instead of just being advised. I want fair and equal inclusion for all students. I want to do this by integrating the minorities into activity groups. I want to raise awareness and elevate the voice for representational networks. I want to make sure there's fair and equal inclusion for all teams, societies and representational networks, and make sure that all 3 groups have equal opportunities. I want to make sure that student union spaces are inclusive and accessible for all, making everyone feel safe and valued. I want to build on recognising and celebrating student success, continuing with social media hashtags. I want to implement a weekly roundup of fixtures, results and upcoming events for all 3 groups. I will also want to implement a new monthly recap of achievements from all 3 groups. Societies and representational networks do not get enough recognition in my eyes, and I want a regular fact file online. I want to increase raising and giving and volunteering involvement, giving incentives and rewards for those that with an outstanding involvement with each team to have at least 1 charity event a year. I want students to have the right to be heard, express their views and feedbacks on an online forum where they will remain anonymous. I want the SU to be aware of all activities, events and campaigns, making sure that they are given 100% support, and I will do this by ensuring sufficient trust and a great relationship. Thank you.
Your next candidate is Kate Mardon.
Hello everyone, and I'm running to be your next Vice President of Activities. In this role, as I have been heavily involved with the Student Union over the last year, the current Vice Chair of Sound Radio, and I promote an inclusive student union where everyone feels. So I would like to do this through making sure sports teams and societies are equal and create a greater awareness surrounding our representational networks. I would also like all areas of our activity zone, because everyone at our students so they do. I'd also want to carry this on by making sure your success is celebrated and make sure every group is promoted through and a bigger refreshers fair. I would also like to champion a bigger and make sure volunteering is something for a wide range of volunteering opportunities that Winchester has. But most importantly, I would like to make mental health minor. If you feel you need that support, then that gives through our advice zone, and I will be providing all committee members. So if this is what you would like, Kate, Vice President Activities.
Your next candidate is Daphne Siddall.
Hi, I'm Daphne and I'm running for VP Activities this year. I've been a part of Performing Arts Winchester for 3 years now, and I'm their social media officer this year. I'm a student academic rep. I'm involved with Winchester Esports social media team, and I'm a member of the Pole Fitness Society. So as your VP Activities, I will use my experience being part of a society and a committee to make sure the student union is more inclusive, equal, and increase communications between society members and DSU. Some of the things I want to achieve within this role include introducing an Outstanding Impact Award for the society which has made the biggest difference that given year through charitable events, provide initial training to committees and give resources to improve their activities straight on from semester 1, continuously promote societies, teams, and representational networks, introducing a monthly recap reel to showcase everything they have been doing so far. Introducing new campaigns to promote body neutrality and mental health, also sustainability. Support societies and sports teams in the beginning of the semester and holding a panel each semester to answer questions directly from them. Introducing increasing involvement with sustainability, as this is a massive important thing for our university, and providing ways in which students can be more sustainable, and increasing virtual activities and their promotion throughout the SU. So vote for me if you would like a brighter and better student union. Thank you.
And finally, we have Lee Fairwhite.
Hi, my name is Lee Fairwhite and I'm running to be your Vice President Activities. During my 4 years at the university, I've been chair of the Spectrum Students Network for 3 years running and an employee for the Student Union shop. My campaign is focused on 2 areas. Firstly, prepare, train and support. To prepare for a staggered return to campus in the new academic year, I believe committees should receive a safety briefing to ensure they're aware of all safety measures on campus and the do's and don'ts of holding physical meetings. Additionally, I feel it's only fair that committees receive extra training to run their activity groups in these uncertain times, such as social media training and mental health first aid. Further support and guidance should also be offered to students wishing to set up new activity groups. I would also advocate to continue funding for the Representational Networks Assistant role, as this would allow networks to maximise their positive influence on university life. Lastly, I would ensure that activity groups are provided with fair and equal use of facilities at university, like room allocation and sports facilities, and I would like to work with all activity groups to create a detailed plan for physical activities to return. The second part of my campaign focuses on clear communication. Simply put, not all students are aware of what the Student Union have to offer. I propose we run an awareness campaign at the beginning of the academic year to inform students of the ways they can sign up to receive regular information, such as creating an account on the SU website and following SU social media. I would also like to use my skills and knowledge to start a Student Union newspaper to provide a regular and easily accessible way to learn about all Student Union events, activities and opportunities, as well as promote our activity groups and their achievements. We should also continue to provide students with Give It a Go sessions and improved refreshers fairs each semester to ensure no student is left behind. Finally, all activity groups should have the chance to celebrate their achievements in award ceremonies at the end of the year. These are just some of my main campaign points, so please read my manifesto and follow me on my campaign social media, linked on the SU website.
Thank you. So that brings all the speeches to a close. So if all candidates could now switch their cameras on for the Q&A session. As we said, if you've been watching the video so far, please do remember that we use a single transferable vote system for our elections, which means that you can rank the candidates in order of your preference. So when you're thinking about how you'll cast your vote this year, don't just decide who your favourite candidate is, but also have a think about who your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh preferences are, as every vote counts. So I'll just turn my camera off so you can just see the candidates on your screen. So for the Q&A, the 3 questions being asked this evening were chosen at random from the list of pre-submitted questions we received from students online or via the union's big survey, which over 700 students completed. The order for candidates to answer the questions this evening has been chosen at random, and they will have up to 1 minute each to respond. Okay, so candidates, your first question this evening was submitted by a primary education student who asks, a lot of the committees are concerned that they do not have many people in their societies who can continue their activity group on next year. How can you support activity groups to continue their legacies? First up, Lee.
Hi, so I believe that the best way to do this is through training. So like I said in my manifesto, we need to support and provide more training for committees. So some examples of ideas that I came up with was social media training. So with it being probably partially online, partially in person next year, depending on how well the vaccine rollout goes, we may have to then prepare for societies to be smoothly running online. So if we're giving those resources to train up committees anyway, that will also help those committees which are on the smaller side. I can personally say that I know what that's like. There's not many people in Spectrum this year to carry on the committee, and that is always a worry, but I believe that as long as you have some passionate people on your committee and they receive the proper training, which I would like to give if elected as VP of Activities, then I believe that you're... There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee. Next up is Daphne.
I want to provide, like Lee said, training would be an amazing option. I want to hold panels so that I can get feedback and suggestions from committee members, because starting off when you're first elected as a committee, you don't really know the direction you want to take your society. You don't really know how to approach things, and it would be amazing for sabbatical officers to give their personal advice to committee members so that they have the best opportunity to take their society forward with their activities, and also continuous promotion towards the student union Instagram account and website would be very beneficial.
Kate.
So as a current member of the Sound Radio Society Committee myself, I understand this, like, to be able to help this, to stow points and promote our inclusive summer leading up to the next term. I would like to make sure that for this role, and I want to make everyone aware that you can be confident and you can do what you do. And if you have passion, then I definitely feel like I want to help those society sports teams get their voices out there and make sure that committee members, they definitely have to go for it.
And Daniel.
Like already mentioned, I believe that training for committees is very crucial in ensuring that they work together. I think the encouragement of social events or maybe a social media group chat for committee members will increase this. I also believe that holding regular meetings with the student union and the committee will also help. Also saying this, obviously a lot of committees, well, a lot of sports teams, societies and representational networks do have social media pages, and I think it's good when people do the fact files, etc. at the start of the year to enhance this.
And Bob?
I completely agree with everyone else that training is such a key point in boosting both numbers in societies, activity groups and networks, and also making a history with them. I think another way you could do it is with online campaigns, so really promoting societies through making videos, so each society lays out its core functions and what it stands for. But also with promotion of home games, live stream them so it's more COVID friendly, especially at the start of this year. I also think it's important for looking forward. You also have to look at how the teams were built, so the history and understanding where they've come from, and I think that'll strengthen societies a lot.
Joshua?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I'm pretty much in the same position as you were, because I took over as chair of Sound Radio in the last, of course, semester and year. I think the main thing for me is obviously just recruitment, because we've had such a topsy-turvy year in terms of recruitment. I think we're all better at doing things online these days. So I will make sure that all societies are trained up. If we have to do it all online again, hopefully we don't, then of course they can do that way. But obviously, for me, another thing that we did trial with Sound Radio this year was an alumni network, which has seemed to have gone quite well indeed. And I would like to give societies training on that, and obviously representational networks, sports teams, things like that as well, so that once you leave university, you do feel like a member of that team for life. And obviously you're kept in the loop in those kind of things. Also, as well, in terms of sports teams and things like that, I would love to post about results on social media. And don't forget as well, with my radio experience, etc., I'd also love to do some commentary on games on, of course, Sound Radio, things like that. Just make sure the whole university knows exactly what the societies and things are doing, because the more people know, the better.
Thank you. And finally, Leela, could we hear your response to that question?
We've got some very good answers for that question. I love them all. I want to say that 2 years ago, I was part of a committee that was very small for a very small at that time team, which was the polo team. And we basically built the team from scratch with nothing. And we had to be basically present. So obviously it was not COVID. So we were able to go to Freshers Fair. We were able to put our word out there. We were posting everywhere. We rebuilt the entire Instagram page, entire Twitter, entire Facebook. So I think awareness and promotion, visibility and presence is so important, and it needs to be encouraged by the student union as well, and it needs to be supported by student union. Now this year I'm social media manager for the same team, and I managed to build our members intake by posting absolutely everywhere.
Thank you, Leela. So your next question was submitted by an MA digital media student who asks, in relation to student union activities, what ways can you think of to include not just the full-time students, but also part-time students? First up, Kate.
Hello, everyone. So students feel more included, and obviously we've learned society events have become a big thing, and I think this would be a great way so the mature students or commuting students, and it's a great way to get people involved. They could have games nights, the student union and other members of their like to make it more virtual and promote this activities zone more through our social media and our website.
Next up, Daniel.
Obviously, it's very difficult for part-time students to feel involved, but I really do think it's really key that no matter what student, they do feel involved. I think ensuring that they know what events are on, what activities, and doing this through the use of social media, putting on Twitter, for etc., Instagram, just making sure they know what time, information about the events. I also think obviously keeping it virtual and online regardless of the situation, so they don't feel the need to come into onto university premises.
Daphne?
I mentioned that I want to increase virtual activities and their promotion on Winchester Student Union social media. I believe that social media is the key to improve, including our mature students, our commuting students, our students who have kids, and with the activities we have. So increasing our virtual activities will not only benefit us in a time like when we have COVID, but it will also benefit us in the long run if we keep them running for our mature students and our commuting students and our part-time students.
Leela?
I think it's so important for everyone to feel included in at university, and I think we need to encourage more student-led, members-led initiatives, events, anything that they can bring to their members, to every members, and that would encourage people to participate more online or face-to-face and discover other like events, range of events, anything. Yeah.
Lee?
Yeah, I completely agree that no student should be left behind. That is why one of the main points of my manifesto is inclusion. So what I would like to do is I would propose that we have a blended approach going forward, regardless of the safety situation, a blended approach of virtual activities available, and make sure that no society or network or sports team are excluding people based on whether or not they can come to campus. And accessibility is a big issue. So that is making events accessible for not only people who are, say, part-time distance learners or mature students, but also ensuring that the range of activities is suitable for everyone. So say not promoting drinking over everything else, and making sure there's a range of activities available.
Joshua? Yeah,
again, thank you very much for that question. I commute and I know exactly what the gain for those kind of virtual events have done, and it's absolutely something that I wish to continue on in terms of post-COVID as well, because they've been an absolute blessing. Sit at home and just talk with people and things like that. I've been running the Big Fat Quiz every 2 weeks for the last few weeks, and it's been an absolute pleasure to do. But of course, don't forget as well, there's also training that I'd like to give in terms of making sure that the sports teams and societies are aware that these part-time students do exist, because some people do just tend to drag their friends into the society and go that way. But of course, once we highlight that these people do exist, your commuters, your international students, things like that, and we make sure that they're all represented fully, then I'm sure it would be a happy place for everybody. And of course, there's something for everybody to do here at Winchester, and I do think it's a shame that some people are being left out.
And finally, Bob?
As part of our society, especially over the last 2 years, we've had quite a few commuters in our team, and it was something that we entered this year really thinking about. And I think we came to the conclusion that at university we have such a diverse array of students that we have to cater for everyone, and I think it's so important for committees, for all network societies and teams to understand that they need to understand what positions people are in, so they're not just understand themselves. They have to understand where people need support and be able to offer that support. I think with that comes a lot of training, but also online social media campaigns can really help to boost the promotion of people knowing about these events and joining in. And I think it will really positively impact everyone.
Thank you. So finally, our last question this evening for Vice President Activities candidates is drawn from our Union Big Survey, where several students commented that they felt a drinking culture in activity groups deterred them from joining. What can be done to remove this perceived barrier to participation? First up, Daniel.
I feel like there is a culture at university, and I will try to drive that out. Every student should feel welcomed into societies, into teams, into representational networks without the need to be drinking. It's not a necessity. People come to university and get involved in activity groups because they want to enjoy themselves, and it's not a necessity. There is definitely so many other things that can be done, including quizzes, online campaigns, as been said, and I think this should be integrated into the training so committees know and teams know that it is not all about drinking and the culture should be banned.
Next, Bob.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, especially coming from a sports background. There is a lingering culture of, the pressure to drink. But I think it's so important for you to realise and for us to promote that people, can say no and be supported. We had so many people, especially this year, that have said, I don't want to drink, and it's good to see so many people supporting their choice and looking back and going, actually, I think I'd enjoy my time far more. And I think, the promotion and people knowing that there is support in place for them, no matter if they're in a sports team, society or network. And I think the best way to tackle issues like this is head on, and working, especially with people that have, feel there are more difficult issues, to work with them to find solutions for everyone, even if they're not, wanting to speak out at that time.
Leela?
I totally agree with everything that's been said. I believe that we need to encourage a new range of activities, but that also comes with the fact that I believe there's something for everyone at university, but people are not aware of it. And I think we need to bring the focus on thoughts and activities that are less drinking fans and stuff. But I think training committees to be aware that might be a problem for certain members of their group is essential, and just developing any other activities, either by members or directly by the SU, to offer a new range of activities so that everyone feels included and safe, basically.
Joshua?
Thanks for your question again. Yeah, I personally don't drink, and I know that it is frustrating sometimes in the fact that BOP is the biggest event in the university calendar each week, and that is pure drinking. Of course, that's absolutely fine because some people go to university to have a good time. That's brilliant, but of course there are other events in the calendar, and I would just like to push those even more. Your quizzes, your film screenings. I know last year when we were allowed to, we did a Eurovision screening and things like that. So obviously things like that will continue to be built on. And as people have said as well, I would just like to have that little bit of training just to make sure that people aren't leaving people out, because there's been a theme in these questions that some people do feel slightly left out by the cultures of societies. And I really do think that's a shame, because being in a society myself, I know how much of a difference it can make. And hopefully I can fix that if you elect me.
Lee?
Yeah, I completely agree that there is a lingering culture of people thinking that it's drinking and not actually the hanging out that's the fun bit. And I want to reiterate that it is the job of committees to make sure that there are a range of activities available to their members. So I think that, again, that comes down to training first and foremost, making sure that we not only provide committees with the resources they need to run, but also kind of getting them to share ideas with each other and make it a more collaborative effort. Because I think when societies, networks and sports teams work together, more ideas flourish, and there's more events, there's more activities. Some of the best events that I've been to have been collaborations. And I really think that building that relationship between all of the activity groups is the key to stop this reliance on drinking culture.
Kate? Kate, I'm not sure if you've unmuted yourself. Do you have an answer to that question?
Yeah, I definitely agree that drinking culture seems to be a think of university, and since myself being a member of society, I believe that this is something that I want to change, and campaigning if you vote to make sure that people can be accepted and people can get involved with whatever they'd like to at university. And I'd like to do this also to make everyone through a blended sort of approach, so there is no student left. My manifesto point of making everyone will feel included in what we have to offer.
And finally, Daphne?
Everybody had really good points so far, so I don't even know how to top that up. But I definitely was one of the people that felt I had to drink to have fun and to join in on nights out, for example, like when you go to Bob. But obviously there are so many other opportunities available, and one of the big reasons why people feel like there aren't out there is because it's really hard to find them. There are so many cool challenges and activities virtually that are going on even right now, and they're being promoted by individual societies. But I feel like if the student union share each of these wonderful activities that are provided to us, which don't include drinking, then everybody could have a chance in participating in something that they would enjoy.
Well, thank you so much to all of our Vice President Activities candidates. I hope you've enjoyed hearing from them this evening, and if you want to find out more about any of the candidates or check out their manifestos, we've posted a link to each of the candidate pages in the comment section of this video. I know we did have a couple of Wi-Fi issues this evening, so we would really encourage you to do check those links out and do read everyone's manifestos to find out more. We did receive a number of questions in our Ask a Student form online, so if your question was not answered this evening, again, if you check out those pages, if there's contact details on there, then you can contact each candidate and find out more from each of them. So voting opens tonight at 9 PM, as we've said. Do make sure you've checked your Unimail email at 9 o'clock, which is where you will receive a direct link to cast your vote, or you can also visit our website at winchesterstudents.co.uk/vote. So that draws us to the close of part 3 of our candidate Q&A. Do be sure to check out the other videos so far, so you can hear from the other sabbatical officer candidates that are running. And very shortly, we will be uploading the final part of this evening's Q&A. So make yourself a quick cup of tea and then pop back in a moment, and we'll be hearing from your student officer candidates.